Welcome back, Airbnb family. I have solved the Airbnb AI review removal problem. And I just got off a phone call with one of my longtime friends in the Airbnb space, and we talked about this at length, and we've solved it. Now, first, I want to let you know that I do think that Airbnb's policy for AI review removal is going to give them a class action lawsuit. So first, let me tell you about that, and we'll get into the solve for all of you who want to learn how to get your reviews removed when they're bad. So what Airbnb did recently, in response to the fact that people were paying for review removal services, is they removed all their VAs. This was like a defense, we cannot afford any of this. We need to shut this all down because we don't know which of our VAs are cheating, right? So they put an AI in place that for the time being, I actually don't even think that this is permanent, but for the time being, these reviews will be just looked at by AI. Humans cannot make a decision on this, and thus we now have this new era of trying to fight to get our reviews removed by a computer. Now, there's a couple new adjustments to this, like for the fact that you can only make one appeal. And this is not something that used to be the case. And hosts are wildly upset about the fact that you can't appeal once and then appeal down the road when you maybe have new information. Let's go, Kenny. Thank you guys for coming to a live stream, by the way. Live streams are the most fun, and it's great. I love hanging out with you guys. So thanks for hanging out with me on a Sunday. So Airbnb could be caught in a class action lawsuit for their Airbnb AI review removal fiasco because Airbnb's contract protects hosts to some degree. They have to give assurances to hosts. And in their protections to hosts, they state that if we are going to have to dispute a review for retaliation or extortion or anything, that Airbnb will give us the just and fair due process in which we can defend our business. And Airbnb now has overreacted to this abuse of mercenaries in the review world, that they have now stripped hosts of their contractual guarantee that they've given hosts in their terms of service. So Airbnb is actively, arguably, in breach of contract by not allowing us to talk to a human. Isn't that great? So I do think that this will lead to a class action lawsuit very, very soon. Now, I want to tell you how to solve your review problem for the meantime, because humans will come back. You guys can let me know if you agree with that. Do you think AI is here to stay, or do you think they're actually going to revert? I think they're coming back. That's just my opinion. So first thing is that people think that this is wildly unfair, that we have to make an adjustment in the first place. But let me remind you, when you guys have tried to review or remove reviews, you've had to talk to a human. And we've all made adjustments knowing that we're talking to humans who really don't know what they're talking about, right? One of our main complaints is that these VAs know nothing. They know nothing about life or about the world or about being a host. They don't understand our struggles, right? We don't feel understood. So we have adjusted our tone, our language, what we talk about, to the fact that we were talking to a human. And this is precisely your current issue, is you're so used to talking to a know-nothing human to try to influence them to agree with you to review, or to remove a review. So instead of taking your traditional approach, which is to start with something that seems super, super valid and get them to believe that you're a good, honest host, right? And that way that if you have to try again, the back notes on your appeal process don't look like you were some mean, illegitimate liar. You've always wanted to protect your integrity because you're talking to a person. And if you have to escalate it, you always wanted your review notes to look like you were doing it in good faith, right? So we have made these adjustments for that. Now we're going to flip it. We're going to reverse it, right? This is actually really cool. And maybe this is only possible because I've spent the last 80 hours coding in Python last week for a new company I'm launching in the Airbnb space that's tech driven. And one thing that has become true is, since we're talking to an algorithm, that means we're talking to a computer, which means we need to talk in a way that a computer is prepared to hear us and obey us, okay? So we have to talk in computer logic. So you get 2 passes at reviewing, or sorry, I keep saying that backwards, guys. Apparently my words aren't working today. You get 2 passes at removing a review. We're going to first do a dirty output, and we're going to do a clean output. The first one you can even call the kitchen sink. We're going to kitchen sink them first, and then we're going to do a clean pass if the kitchen sink doesn't work. So please, if you care about this topic, please like the video so hosts around the world can fight to keep their properties in their best condition without this abuse, right? If you're a host, please like this video so we can end this abuse. So the kitchen sink method. I want you first, before you even attempt to remove a review, I would like you to write down everything that you know that Airbnb could remove a review for. Guest never arrived is one. They didn't arrive, they didn't stay, they can't leave a review. Guest violated your house rules by smoking, having too many people. Guest tried to extort you. There's something called ground rules, right? Violation of ground rules and the multiple points of ground rules that they could violate, which is smoking at your house, having too many guests, violating your quiet hours, violating any of your other reasonable house rules. Those are all ground rules for guests, right? And then the extortion stuff, the calling you slanderous names, racial slurs, making false statements to try to damage your business, like everything that you can think of that Airbnb would normally win you for, okay? I then want you to make a template, okay? A template review removal request. And now the language here is going to be super important. So let's just stop. I want to make sure you understand this. This is so important. Your normal language when you're talking to a human was different in this way. You would say to a human, this is my argument. Can't you see my point? You see what I mean? This is believable. This is true, right? Can you see how this can be true? You would talk in ways to attempt to convince someone. So you're using leading language. It's totally different than the computer language we need to talk. So now everything that you have written down, we need to write in what I call statement of fact language. I've paid over $250,000 to attorneys to sue people, and everything that we write in our appeals and our motions are written in this kind of statement of fact language. You need to compose all of the stuff that you want to use with Airbnb into a this is true format, so that way the computer will read it in this is true format instead of this I'm trying to convince you format. Okay, following along, right guys? So now that you have the version of the this is true format for the guest didn't arrive, guest did not stay in the property, guest does not qualify to leave a review because they were never there. Statement of fact, right? Instead of just like, if the guest didn't stay, then in that case, they would not be able to leave a review. Like that would be less solid, less final language. So all of these written in statement of fact, this will take you a little time. Take your time and just practice writing everything down. And this is 100% true language. Even though some of these will not be true because you may not use them, right? You're still going to write out your formats for statement of fact and have them in your back pocket. Now, this is where you can choose to fight dirty or not, okay? I'm going to let you decide how dirty you want to fight in this fight, okay? You could take the entire template and on your kitchen sink pass, upload the entire template plus your other points, right? Your 2 points could be that the guest was upset that they had to pay $50 for something that they damaged. And the review is retaliatory because the guest had to make a payment for something that they disagreed with paying for. And you could add that in. But you still send the whole thing in your first pass. This is fighting ultra dirty. You're making the computer decide which one of these are true or not. And because it's computer language, at the very bottom of your review removal request, you're going to state, if any of these statements of fact are true, then the review must be removed for any individual violation of Airbnb's terms of service. So your bottom phrase is creating what we call an equation. I'm delivering you point A, guest never arrived. Point B, guest tried to extort us. Point C, guest had too many guests. Point D, guests smoked and violated ground rules. Point E, something else. If A, B, C, D, or E are true, review is removed. That's the equation of the final statement. If any of the included statements of fact are true, you must remove this review for any individual violation of Airbnb's terms of service. So when you send the kitchen sink, the computer has to process it. The computer has to go reading fact 1, verified as true or verified as false, reading fact 2, reading fact 3, etc., right? And you may find by kitchen sinking the review removal system with many statements of fact that it has to prove to be untrue, that it may permit one of those statements of fact to be valid that you didn't even know was valid, right? It's going to go back and look at the listing, the review, the guest conversation. And if you kitchen sink them, there might be one in there that Airbnb rings true that you would have never included. The way that this is similar to the old protocol, if you guys have been around long enough, if you've been around long enough to watch my videos, thanks by the way, You have seen that one of my previous videos about review removal is to argue like an attorney. Don't just give them 1 point, give them 5. Because if any of your 5 points are true, you win. We're doing the same exact thing. Now the kitchen sink, because we're not talking to a human, we don't have to worry about them thinking that we are POSs or that we are liars or that we are disingenuous. We're talking to a human. Our reputation is not at stake. I need to say that again. Your reputation is not at stake when you're talking to a computer. No human is going to read this conversation. It does not matter what you say. So if you're shy about what I'm telling you to do or encouraging you to do, be a little less shy. You can include as many statements of fact as you like, whether or not they are true or could be proven true, and you tell them, if any of these are true, then you must comply. And you give them every possible reason on the planet. If we were talking to a human, they would read this and go, obviously this is BS. This person is just BS. We're going to ignore him. But that's not going to happen anymore because you're talking to a computer. Now, if that first dirty pass, if the kitchen sink fails, you are then going to study and make sure you have a very clean argument that you can deliver again in statement of fact logic one more time and deliver the exact clean points, only the ones that you absolutely know are true, so that way you can get a 100% hit, but it has to be written again in statement of fact language. So this is the backwards version where people normally would list their one first thing. Like they're usually pretty emotional. Hosts are like, I'm super mad about this one thing. The review has to be removed for this one reason that's so powerful. And then the VA is like, nah fam, we're not going to accept that. So you go back and say, well, it could be removed for this reason, and it could for this reason and this reason. So instead of waiting for pass number 2, we're leading with that. And then if the AI kicks us back, we're going to try to deliver one final clean 100% hit. That's the best we have for now. There's still no guarantee that your review will be removed. And let me say, this will break some of your guys' hearts. Some of you are trying to review, or I keep doing that. Some of you are trying to remove reviews that do not belong in the remove category. You're mad that it's a 4-star or a 3. You're mad that the guest was not nice or that it wasn't a clean reservation. You're mad that it's affecting your 5-star percentage, whatever, but the review is valid. And those will stay, very likely. But if you kitchen sink them, actually you might get a couple of these through. So please, in the comments, let me know how this goes. And I'm going to keep chipping away at the system here, keep trying to fix this. And for however long we have a computer running the show, we're going to fight fire with fire by formulating our arguments like a computer needs to hear them. So, by the way, I'm going to put something in the corner once I can. Yesterday's video about their policy change for off-platform. Nuts. Watch that video next. Thanks for watching this way, like all the way through to the end. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the other.